Yo, what's up guys? It's your boy, the Chat Kid, coming back with another fire video. And today, as you can see by the title, we're doing Laughing Jack by Snuffbomb. Snuffbomb isn't a very good person, but the creepypasta he made is a part of history, and I'm gonna read it. As you can see by the title. Alright, let's get right into it. Hold on. It was a nice summer day. My 5-year-old son James was playing outside in the backyard of our suburban home. James has always been a quiet boy. He plays by himself mostly. He never had many friends, but he always had a wild imagination. I was in the kitchen feeding our dog Fido when I heard what sounded like James talking to someone in the backyard. I'm not sure who it was he could be talking to. Could he have finally made a friend? Being a single mum, it's hard for me to always keep an eye on him, so I decided to go outside and check on him. When I went into the backyard, I was a bit confused because James was the only person back there. Was he talking to himself? I could have sworn I heard another voice. "James, it's time to come inside," I called out to him. He came inside and sat down at the dinner table. It was about lunchtime, so I decided to make him a turkey sandwich. "James, who are you talking to out there?" I asked. James looked up for a moment. "I was playing with my new friend," he said, smiling. I poured some milk and continued to pry it as any good mother would. "Does your friend have a name?" "Why didn't you ask him to have lunch with us?" I asked. James stared at me for a moment before replying. "His name is Laughing Jack." I was a bit taken aback by what he said. "Oh, that's a strange name. What does your friend look like?" I asked, a little confused. "He's a clown. He has long hair and a big swirly cone nose. He's got long arms and baggy pants with stripy socks, and he always smiles." They realised my son was talking about an imaginary friend. I suppose it's normal for kids his age to have imaginary friends, especially when he has no real kids to play with. So just a phase. The rest of the day went by as per usual, and it was time to get late, so I put James to bed. I tucked him in, gave him a kiss, and made sure to turn on the nightlight before I closed the door. I was pretty tired myself, so I decided to go to bed not long after. I had an awful nightmare. It was dark. I was in some kind of rundown amusement park. I was scared, running through an endless field of empty tents, broken down rides and abandoned game huts. The whole place had a horrible look to it. Everything was black and white. The prized stuffed animals all hung from nooses in the game huts, all with sick grins attached to their faces. It felt like the whole park was looking at me, even though there wasn't another living thing in sight. Then suddenly, I began to hear music play. The sounds of Pop Goes the Weasel being played on a squeeze box echoed through the park. It was hypnotising. I followed its tune to the circus tent, almost in a trance, unable to stop my legs from moving forward. It was pitch black. The only light came from a single spotlight shining from the centre of the big top. As I walked towards the light, the music slowed down. I found myself singing along, unable to stop. All the mound in the mulberry bush, the monkey chased the weasel. The monkey thought 'twas all in fun. The music stopped right before its climax, and then suddenly the light shot on. The intensity of the lights was practically blinding. All I could see was a small dark silhouette shuffle towards me. Then another one appeared. Then another. There were dozens of them, all coming towards me. I couldn't move. My legs were frozen. All I could do was watch as the haunting figures drew near. As I got closer, I could see they were children. Oh no! As I looked at each one, as I looked at each one, I noticed they were all horribly disfigured and mutilated. Lovely. Some had cuts all over their bodies, others severely burnt, others were with missing limbs, even eyes. The children enveloped me, clawing at my flesh, dragging me to the ground and tearing inside. As the children tore me apart and I faded away, all I could hear was laughter. Horrible, awful, evil laughter. I woke up the next morning in a cold sweat. After taking a few deep breaths, I looked over and saw that James's action figures were positioned facing me on top of my nightstand. I sighed. James had probably broken up and put these there. I gathered up the toys and made my way to James's room. However, when I opened the door, James was sound asleep. Where am I? I shrugged and placed the toys back into his toy box and headed out of the living room. A little while later, James woke up and I made his breakfast. It was quiet and seemed a bit groggy. Perhaps he didn't sleep well either. I decided to ask him about the toys. "James, honey, did you put the toys in Mummy's room this morning?" His eyes shot up at me for a moment and then quickly glanced back at his cereal. Laughing Jack did it. I rolled my eyes and responded, "Will you tell Laughing Jack to keep the toys in your room?" I went to relax in the living room. I must have dozed off because I woke up a couple hours later. Shit! I need to check on James. I was a bit worried. It'd been over 2 hours and I hadn't checked on him. I stepped out into the backyard, but James wasn't there anymore. I got nervous, so I called out to him. James! James, where are you? Just then I heard a giggle come from the front yard. I rushed through the gate to the front of the house. James was sitting on the sidewalk. I breathed a sigh of relief and walked over to him. Oh, hello. Oh, what's this? James, how many times have I told you to stay in the backyard? ... James, what are you eating? James looked up at me and then reached into his pocket and pulled out a handful of hard candies, all in colours. This made me very nervous. James, who gave you that candy? James just stared at me, not speaking. James! Please tell me where you got that candy. James hung his head and then said, Laughing Jack gave it to me. My heart sunk. I kneeled down. I kneeled down to look him in the eye. There we go. James, I've had enough of this damn Laughing Jack thing. He's not real. Now this is a very serious situation. I need to know who gave you the candy. I could see my son's eyes tear up. But Mama, Laughing Jack did give me the candy. I closed my eyes and took a deep breath. James had never lied to me before, but what he's telling me is impossible. I made him spit out the candy and I throw the rest away. James appears to be fine. Maybe I'm overreacting. After all, they could have got it from Tom and Linda next door, or Mr. Walker down the street. That's never a good sign. Either way, I'm going to have to keep a close eye on James. That night I put James to as usual and decided to go to bed early myself. Suddenly I was awoken by a loud bang coming from the kitchen. I sprang out of bed and hurried downstairs. When I got to the kitchen I was horrified. Everything on the counters had been thrown to the floor and our dog Fido hung dead from the light fixture. Oh no! His stomach was cut open and stuffed with candy. Oh my god! The same type that James was eating earlier that day. My shock was quickly broken by a sharp scream coming from James's room, followed by loud crashes. I grabbed the knife from the drawer and moved up the stairs with the speed that only a mother whose child is in danger could have. I burst through the door and flicked on the lights. Everything in the room was knocked over and tossed onto the floor. My poor son in his bed crying and shaking with fear. He pissed himself! A bowl of urine stained the sheets. I don't like weirdo. I skipped up my child and ran out of the house and went to next door to Tom and Linda's house. Luckily they were still awake. They let me use their phone and I called the police. It didn't take them long to arrive and I explained what had happened. They looked at me as if I was crazy. They searched the house but all they found was a dead dog and 2 trashed rooms. Damn, that's the wrath of Eyeless Jack, people. It inconveniences your life. Oh well. Oh, damn. The officer told me that someone had probably gotten into the house and done this right before making a quick escape when they heard me coming up the stairs. I knew it wasn't true. All the doors were locked and none of the windows were open. Whatever was in my house didn't come from outside. Oh no! The next day, James stayed inside. I didn't want to leave my sight. I went into the garage and found his old baby Martin set up in his room. If anything comes into his house tonight, it comes into his room tonight, I was going to be able to hear it. I went into the kitchen and grabbed the largest knife from the drawer and put it on my nightstand. Imaginary friend or not, I'm not letting anything hurt my little boy. Soon enough, night came. I put James to bed. He was afraid, but I promised him that he wasn't going to let anything bad happen to him. Oh, that's foreshadowing, guys. That's foreshadowing. I tucked him in, gave him a kiss, and turned on the nightlight. Before closing the door, I whispered to him, "Good night, James. I love you." I tried to stay up as long as I could, but after a few hours, I felt myself drifting off. My baby would be safe for the night, and I needed to sleep. Just as I lay my head on my pillow, I heard a soft noise come from the baby monitor. I was on my nightstand. Damn. At first, it sounded like inference, like the kind of radio would make. Was James asleep? Yeah, I'm not reading that part out. And then I heard it, the laugh from my nightmare, that horrible laugh. I sprung up to the bed and grabbed the knife under my pillow. I rushed over to James' room and creeped the door open. I tried to switch the light, but it wouldn't come on. I took a step in and I could feel the warm, thick, I took a step and I could feel the warm, thick liquid on my feet. Okay. Suddenly, James' nightlight came and I could see the absolute horror lay down in front of me. James's body was pierced on the wall. The nail piercings through my hands and feet. His chest got wide open, his organs hung down to the floor. His eyes and tongue being removed along with most of his teeth. I was disgusted. I didn't see what bleeding was my baby boy. Then I heard it again. Soft, desperate moan. James still alive! Jesus Christ. He's still alive. Bro. my baby, my poor baby, in so much pain, barely clinging to life. Oh, this is awful. I spun around while still wiping bile from my mouth. Then out from the shadows emerged the fiend responsible for all this horror, Laughing Jack. His ghost white skin and matted black hair hung down to his shoulders. Oh shit! I'm Laughing Jack. Whoa. He had piercing white eyes surrounded by dark black rings. Jeff the Killer. His twisted smile revealed a row of sharp, jagged teeth, and his skin looked like it didn't skin at all. It also looked like rubber or plastic. He wore a patchy black and white clown outfit with striped sleeves and socks. His body itself was grotesque, his long arms hanging down past his waist, and the way he poised himself made him look almost boneless, like a rag doll. He let out a sickening laugh as if to let me know he was pleased with my reaction to his work. He then turned around slowly to get. They then turned around slowly. What? He then turned around slowly in front of James and began to laugh even more at the horrific sight of him laid out. Okay, that was enough for me to shake me from my terror. I snapped, "Get away from me, you bastard!" I rushed at the monster, raising my knife above my head and stabbed down at him. But soon the knife touched him, he disappeared into a cloud of black smoke. The knife passed right through and pierced James, still beating out, smashing the warm blood in my face. No! What have I done? My baby! I killed my baby! I immediately fell to my knees, and I could hear sounds in the distance grow louder. My boy, my sweet baby boy, I promise Mom to protect you. Sorry, James. I'm so sorry. Damn. Laughing Jack called the police. Police soon arrived to find me in front of my son, still wielding the knife covered in my baby's blood. The trial was short. Insanity. I was placed in the Firo Polos house of the criminally insane where I've been for the past 2 months. It's not so bad here. The only reason why I'm awake now is because someone's playing Pop God the Weasel outside my window. I'll talk to the orderlies about it in the morning. Wow. Wow. Damn. I've always loved... Bruh. Nah. Nah, that was trash. I didn't like that. That was just stupid. I didn't like it. I thought just the excessive violence isn't cool or edgy. It just makes itself look like a sado. But then again, I could never write something that's on the same fame as bloody Laughing Jack, could I? Oh well. Yeah, I didn't like it. Thought it was stupid. But then again, I can never write something like that. Also, actually leave comments down below. I want to know what to read because I'm struggling to find stuff to read. So yeah, Snuffbomb, Madman. So yeah, I mean that's about it. But yeah, oh well. Alright, bye.